Good morning, Hail Stalkers. This is Derek Klein coming to you from the Hail Palace today. And it looks like we had a fairly slow weekend, but we did have a little bit of activity across parts of the country. And if it was in your backyard, then it probably meant something to you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the recap from June 5th through the 7th and see what we had going on activity-wise across parts of the United States. So here's a look at the, we talked about this, the MEHS, the maximum expected hail size that was output from the radar for Sunday afternoon. So notice we had little kind of popcorn type thunderstorms. These were under an area of cold air aloft that moved out of Canada into parts of Minnesota. Today that's actually transitioning now down towards parts of Illinois and Indiana, possibly even southern Michigan. So we'll be watching for this activity to actually redevelop this afternoon down here. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. But activity yesterday with that cold air aloft, it actually produced some fairly large hail, up to 2 to 3 inch in diameter. It was fairly isolated, didn't last very long, so they kind of go up and then fall down. But there was some large hail and some isolated pockets with some of these storms. That includes up towards Winnipeg, Canada, where we do have a hail map available. We had a large swath. It looks like there would be a ton of hail across Missouri, Illinois, and western Indiana, but in all actuality, this was actually fairly isolated, so we didn't get as much activity out of this, but there were some pockets of quarter, even a couple of pockets of golf ball size hail across parts of Illinois. Everything in this part of the country stayed in the 1-star level, so we do have hail maps available. They're just not for sale. They're actually free, so you can log into our site and access the hail maps that we've created across parts of Illinois and Minnesota. We've also got some activity here across parts of Kansas. We were able to create a 2-star hail map in this area. Salina, Kansas hit. This was actually some fairly large hail. Looks like we had 2 storms that developed across this part of the country, and had some storms earlier in the morning up across just to the west of North Platte, Nebraska as well. Produced a little bit of hail and some pockets of quarter-size hail out here in the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle. So here's a look at the map, or the hail map recap that we had starting from Friday, June the 5th. So this is going to go all the way through the weekend here. And on Friday, June the 5th, it looks like the activity, the first really the only activity that we had was in the Colorado and Kansas area. So we did a 2-star map, Parker to Ponderosa Park. Predominantly quarter-size hail in with this particular storm, but we did have some pockets of ping pong ball size hail, and even out further to the east we had some pockets of golf ball size hail. 7,900 house count, again most of these with quarter to $half size hail. We've also got you a 2-star hail map for parts of eastern Kansas western Kansas, Yuma, Colorado area. 2-inch hail possible with that storm. Did affect the Goodland area. It's going to give us a house count of about 1,300 with that one. We'll leave that one at a 2-star hail map as well. Not a large house count with that particular storm. Now as we move forward here, we're going to skip Saturday. Not a lot of activity. We did do several 1-star maps on Saturday, but Sunday was the hail activity kind of picked up again. So Pierce, Nebraska, Battle Creek to Arthur, Iowa, 1.25 inch hail, 1,900 homes. That's going to give us a 2-star hail map for that particular storm. We're also going to kind of stretch things out a little bit more to the south. We're going to go Salina to Harrington, Kansas, 2-inch hail, 2,100 house count with that particular storm. That was probably the best storm of the weekend. And the last hail map that we were able to produce was up in Winnipeg, that's in Canada, and we had 1-inch hail. We don't have house counts available for the Canada storms, but it did hit a fairly populated part of Winnipeg, Canada, so in Manitoba. So again, that was for Sunday, June the 7th. So that's a look at the recap for the storms that we had across the area for the weekend. Let's take a look at the forecast now for Monday, June 8th, and let's see what we've got going on. So we've got again, a fairly large area. We've got a front that's going to drape across parts of the Panhandle region through Oklahoma, Arkansas, into Tennessee and Kentucky, and then that's actually going to stretch all the way back up into parts of New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia. That's going to produce potential for some large hail. Then we've got this little upper level disturbance that's going to sag south and east into Chicago, potentially Indianapolis, And so this part of the country will have at least a possibility of some large hail too. Let's see where the bigger stuff's going to occur at. And again, really kind of right here along this front, we're going to have some elevated instability, and then I think there might be a couple of big hailers potentially with that cold air aloft as that sags to the south. So 2-inch hail looks to be the largest hail as we go through the afternoon hours today, but it is something that we'll be taking and monitoring as we go through the afternoon. We'll be sending out hail alerts and text messages for anything that needs to happen. So we're going to break this down into regions as we go into the more specific forecast. We're going to go mid-Atlantic region, so that's going to be potentially up to upstate New York, down through Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is going to be in this, State College, Pennsylvania. We're going to drop this all the way down towards Baltimore and towards Washington, D.C., and parts of Virginia as well. So from 1 to 8 p.m., maximum hail size around golf ball size. If storms can isolate up, that's how we're going to get this bigger hail to create. If we form up into a squall line real quick, we'll have a wind and tornado threat, but the hail threat will drop. Right now, not sure exactly what mode we're going to have, so we're going to go 15% chance on our large hail with some 65 mile per hour winds possible. Now, as we continue to move back to the west a little bit, we're going to take a look at Ohio. So it's going to include Cleveland, Cincinnati. That's going to include you folks in Columbia. So across that part of the country, golf ball size hail, chances a little bit lower. We're only going to go about a 10% chance from 3 to 7 p.m. So part of this is going to be for the cold air aloft, as some of that can stretch into the area from that upper level disturbance that's swinging to the south and east. And we could have some 65 mile per hour winds with some of the worst storms as we go through the afternoon hours. Now, Indianapolis to Chicago, again, this is for that upper level disturbance that was in Minnesota yesterday as it pushes off to the south and east. Again, could have some 2-inch hail from 2 to 7 p.m. Chance of hail about 15%, so not bad. And we'll do about a 65 mile per hour wind max on the storms across that part of the country as well. And as we continue to sag to the south, this will be for areas along the cold front. So we're going to go Lexington to Nashville, anybody in between. That'll include Louisville, Bowling Green, Clarksville. So anybody in that area, again, potential for up to 2-inch hail. Max hail size or chance of hail 15%. This will be from noon to 8 p.m. so a little bit earlier in the afternoon. 65 mile per hour wind max with these thunderstorms. And last but not least, we're going to go Tulsa, Oklahoma to Little Rock, Arkansas. This is for the tail end of that front where we could have again some isolated hail. Potential for up to golf ball size hail. Chance is only about 10%, so the chances drop a little bit as you get west on this front. We lose some of the wind energy that we need to create these thunderstorms, and 65 mile per hour winds possible with any of those storms as well. So that's a look at your forecast. That's a look at your recap from last weekend. A lot to talk about, and we'll be continuing to monitor more severe weather through the afternoon and through really the week. It looks like we have a fairly active week as we go through the week this week. So again, as always, if you have any questions, you can give us a call at info@hailtrace.com, or you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. We hope you have a great afternoon.